Good afternoon, Crew 83. My name is Eric DiMarzio. I am a counselor at Camp John J. Barnhart and a member of Crew 736. As many of you are probably doing, I'm going for my Ranger. The only problem is that I turned 21 in 3 days. So instead of coming in person to give you the presentations on wilderness survival, I'm going to do it over a video blog. Here we go. Number 1. Emergency signals used in the outdoors. For the purposes of this presentation, I'm only going to talk about visual and audio signals, not electronic signals like cell phones or radio band. Now, if you're trying to make a visual signal, the first thing you want to do is get someplace that you can be seen. This could be the top of a hill or an open field. Next, you have about 3 options. Number 1 is to wave around something colorful, like a poncho, or my adorable little cat wonton here. The second is a direct light source. And the third is the mirror method, or use of indirect light. With this method, you're trying to use your mirror to reflect the light from the sun. First, you'll hold 2 fingers up at arm's length, like so. Then you're going to line the space between your fingers up with your target. In my case, the target is the camera. So, I'm going to line my eye up to the fingers, up to my target. Then, I'm going to stick my mirror beside my head, like so. Line it up, look for the light on my hand, and then if all else works properly, I get my signal to work. Here's what it looks like from my point of view. Can you see it? Not really? Maybe. You get it. Notice how I move the light back and forth. Any kind of moving signal is going to be better than any stationary signal, even if the stationary signal is very bright. Signal. Besides those, you always have the option of fire. During the day, you want to use a fire that has a lot of smoke. This can be either green limbs, or if you have a tire, tires burn very black and give a very clear signal. At night, instead, you want to have a very bright fire. It also helps to have fires in groups of 3, which is the international signal for distress. So make a triangle of fires. The main point I want to make in terms of audio signals is that you don't want to tire your voice out. Don't waste a lot of time yelling. Whistles or perhaps your car horn will work a lot better. Remember, groups of 3. Everything groups of 3. Now we can talk about the 5 basic ground-to-air signals. You would typically write these out using stones or wood. A V asks for assistance, an X for emergency assistance, Y and N for yes and no, and finally an arrow that would indicate where your camp is, or which direction you have moved in. That wraps up signaling. Let's move right along to search and rescue patterns. First is the expanding square pattern. The party starts where the lost person was last seen. Then they head north a mile. Then they head east 2 miles. Then south 2 miles. West 3 miles. Then north 3 miles. Then you go 4 miles, 4 miles, 5 miles, 5 miles. Obviously, you could do this in smaller increments, but this is just a model. And the second and final rescue pattern we'll talk about is an LBD, or Lost Bather Drill. This is a somewhat dangerous procedure and should not be attempted without properly trained leadership. Talk to your leader. The personnel used can be split into 3 groups: lifeguards, divers, and a director who's calling the shots. The lifeguards stand watch, while the divers form a line in the swimming area where the victim was last seen. The director then calls for the divers to count off by buddy pair. Then all pairs will dive and using their arms sweep the bottom of the area. Each diver is responsible for thoroughly covering about 5 feet in front of them on each dive. Again, that's a very brief description of an LBD. Please, please, please practice it with someone who can practice it with you in more depth. Depth, get it? Moving right along. Evacuation and when to move. There are 7 questions you need to ask yourself when considering evacuation. 1. What is the extent of your patient's injuries? 2. What is the terrain that must be crossed? 3. How is the weather? 4. How far is it to the trailhead? 5. What is the party's strength? 6. What equipment is available? And 7. How much outside help is available? Or how long will it take for outside help to reach your accident scene? I feel like the easiest way to discuss these questions is to have you comment on any questions that you may have. The book that I got this information out of is Mountaineering First Aid. I got it with my Wilderness First Aid course. It's a very good handbook, and I recommend the course and the book. So I think that wraps up everything we need to cover. Give me comments, give me questions, and I'll be happy to answer anything. See you soon, and happy trails. And may the sun always be at your back, or face, or the wind.